So I got this message from Kirtan in my Hero Club, and he is asking about procrastination. Kirtan says he's got a constant problem with procrastination and focus. He sits down to get a job done, and 5 minutes later he's walking around the room, dreaming about other stuff. 5 minutes later he's doing work again, and then 10 minutes later he's dreaming again. Kirtan would love to know some ways to get over procrastination, and how we've done it in the past, or how maybe you could do it in the future. Currently what Kirtan's doing, every time he catches himself procrastinating, he tells himself, you're just trying to put off the pain. Keep putting it off and it's going to cost you a ton more later on. Basically, Kirtan is punishing himself psychologically. Listen, you son of a bitch, if you don't do this, your life's going to suck. And so if I create enough pain around the thing that I'm procrastinating, maybe I'll kick my own ass into doing it. But have you ever seen a guy trying to kick his own ass? Doesn't really work. There's a whole thing called momentum. It's physics. You can't kick your own ass that way. You got to be a little bit smarter about it, a little bit more strategic. So I have a couple different answers for this, Kirtan, but none of them are about kicking your own ass. Really, there's one thing that I believe, and that is when you're procrastinating on something, it's because you don't really want to do it. And so what does that mean? No, I really do want to do it, but I'm not doing it. So does that mean I don't want to? Yeah, it means you don't really want to do it. But the word really is the important word. You don't really want to do it. So what does that mean? Well, that means you don't want to do it from the part of you that leads and guides your automatic unconscious behaviors. The deep part of you, the emotional part of you, the part that's in flow, the part that's super focused, the part that drives focus. You might want to do it intellectually from a part of you that has an idea about what would be great for you. Case in point, I don't want to eat sugar. For most of my life, I didn't care, but then it came a point where I didn't want to eat sugar, and that was this part of me up here. I don't want it. That's a great idea, but I kept doing it. Of course I kept doing it. I was procrastinating not eating sugar, you could say. But eventually I stopped. I stopped completely. I stopped for almost a year, and then a few months ago I started letting it slip again, and I started eating it again. So what happened? Well, what I did is I moved that wanting to as an idea, from an idea down into my heart, into my way of being, where it was no longer just an idea of a thing that I wanted to do was not eat sugar, but it was actually true. I really didn't want to eat sugar. And I stopped because my desire shifted. This is what I think there's this idea of wanting things that we don't really want. We don't want it enough to just focus on it and do it. And so we can either step back and say, okay, is this thing that I want up here that would ideally be wanted down here and then make me do it automatically all the time and focused on it, is it something that I really want to move down into this part of me so that I'm automatically doing these things and I'm more focused on it? And if that's the case, then okay, great, now let me get focused on what I call changing my wanting. Get to work on your wanting. And so all wantings start as an idea, right? But then they become embodied and you live from that and it becomes the thing that drives you. But not all things make it all the way down. And some things make it all the way down automatically by themselves just because of the things that happen in the environment, stuff around you, different situations, the amount of desire from the idea, the times you think about it, it finds its way down automatically, unconsciously. Other times it doesn't. Like stop eating sugar, that's probably not going to move its way down because there's so many environmental factors, there's so much stimulation, there's so many other pleasure reasons to not stop that you're not going to move this idea down. This is my strategy, right? It's called like self-brainwashing or self-priming. So what I do is I start with an idea, then I create a structure where every day I'm going to brainwash myself into that idea becoming more and more important to me, moving it down deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into my body. And so with the sugar thing, it was like every day, get up in the morning, the first thing I read before I read anything else is 5 minutes on a blogs about how sugar is bad for you, or 5 minutes about nutrition, or 5 minutes about whatever this thing is that you want to make. You want to read about the reasons that it's important more and more often, and that frequency moves it down. So what I'm basically saying is spend more time thinking about the reasons why that thing's so important to you. Just because you have an idea doesn't mean you're going to act that way. You got to make it something that shifts your actual behavior. And so whatever that thing is you're procrastinating, maybe you don't have enough motivation or reason to actually be super focused on that. Maybe it's not big enough in your psyche. Don't think just because you have the idea consciously that you want to do something that you're going to do it. Like 97% of who you are and what you do is unconscious, automatic. You're like the rider on an elephant. If you want to change the direction, you have to strategically consciously, subversively influence the rest of you, the other 97%, the elephant. You have to be really smart and tactical about inspiring and motivating and manipulating yourself into doing things you want to do. Because they start as an idea, but you want it to become habit, you want it to become your way of being, and you got to work at that. You got to work from the top down, from the top meaning your awareness down through your whole self. Move it, as my friend James calls, from the intellectual to the operational. And so this is half the story, right? So let's go all the way back to the beginning. The other part of the beginning is if you're procrastinating on something, you don't want to do it. That's where I started, right? And so the solution was, we'll move that wanting down into, from your head, that idea of wanting, down into an actual wanting in your body so that you do it. That's the first solution. The second solution is, well, maybe if you don't want to do it, just don't do it. And does that make you uncomfortable? Maybe you think you should do it, but you don't really want to? Well, then don't do it. But here's the more subtle thing, because I think a lot of times when I say that, people get all freaked out. It's like, oh my God, of course I want to do it. That's my dream. It's my passion. I'm not doing it. If you take that away from me, what's left? Nothing. I'm just here in a hellhole. So there's more subtlety. If you don't want to do it, it doesn't mean cancel the whole thing, throw it out. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe there's little pieces within the thing that you're doing that you don't want to be doing. Maybe it's not finances that you don't like to do, but maybe it's the specific task of going and opening that Excel document and typing things in. Maybe it's an aspect of the thing that you want to do that you're not doing because there's an aspect that you don't want to do. And so you want to really slow down and look at the thing, why am I procrastinating? Get really honest, like what's the aspect of that thing that I don't want to do? And maybe there's a way for you to tease out that aspect, to remove that aspect, to replace that aspect with something else, that the thing you do, or if the thing you want to do becomes something you actually want to do in all aspects. Like maybe I'm not going to the gym. Like, so I used to not go to the gym, right? And the aspect of going to the gym that I didn't like was the energy, the culture of gyms, the working out, looking in the mirror, everybody kind of being there, showing off to each other. And the aspect of the gym I didn't like was the routine of these really limited functional movements in these machines. And so when I discovered other ways of working out like out in nature, working out at home, using movement and flow, doing CrossFit, these kinds of things, it became something that I really wanted to do. And so now I go to the gym 3-4 days a week, 5 days a week, and I do it because I love it, but I remove the aspects of the thing that I didn't want to do and left the parts that I did want to do, so that the idea of going to the gym became something that I actually wanted to do in all aspects and actually did. I said a lot in this video, right? I talked about the solution of changing your wanting, and I talked about not doing the thing if you don't want to do it and being okay with that, and then I talked about removing the aspects that you didn't want to do instead of throwing the whole thing out and assuming you don't want to do it. I know I covered a lot of points. You might have questions. If you do, please post them down below, and I will make other videos if I need to clarify, because it's a huge concept. I know procrastination is a big issue for people, and it's something that I've put a lot of work in my life and really figuring out, and I've made a lot of progress with it, and I've helped people do the same, and I can help you. So if you have more questions, if you have specific situations where you're procrastinating, let's look into it. Talk to you guys soon.